Well, good morning. Very, very happy Monday to everyone here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Throw-In with Justin, coming to you from 9 to 11 on this beautiful, nice, and chilled morning. I had to, went to take my daughters to school this morning, and I had to put on a jacket. And just so fascinating just how quickly temperature changes out here on the East Coast, to the point from last week you're wearing shorts and now bundling up wearing 2 pairs of pants just to get through the morning. But very, very busy show for you guys today. Very compact 2 hours, kind of recapping everything that's gone over throughout the weekend in the world of sports, anywhere from baseball all the way down to professional wrestling, getting you guys ready for Monday Night Raw. A handful of matches set way scheduled on tonight's match card, so we'll talk about some of that as well. Man, you gotta wake up on a Monday morning kind of feeling a sigh of relief, finally seeing the Bengals pick up their first victory against the New York Jets. And I don't know if I wouldn't say that they're finally where they're at, because I don't think that they're finally where they're at. Just because you have one victory coming out of yesterday's game, 27-12, you're kind of facing, in my opinion, more of a not a more lower team, but more of a incomplete team to credit. So I don't want to sit here and say that the Bengals are back on track. This is the team. This is the way that they're going to play in order to win the AFC North. This is how they're going to get back into the playoffs, but this is a start. There's the first 2 weeks of the season could have gone either way. They could have easily won, kicked the field goal on week 1 and beat Pittsburgh, and they probably should have, right? And then going into Dallas, I think it would have built a little bit more confidence and a little less pressure of having to pick up with the week 2's victory over Dallas. And I think that's what kind of got to them. Obviously, the offensive line still, not the most ideal scenario you want to see out of the offensive line. There's still plenty of struggles I think that they're going to have to deal with throughout the season. But it was a nice, comfortable win, even though that everything didn't go their way yesterday in the game. It's always nice when you see Cincinnati beat up on Joe Flacco overall. So, I was very pleased in the performance that I saw last night or yesterday during the Bengals and the Jets game. Now, so come to my surprise, I was able to, catch about at least 2/3 or 3/4 of the game of its entirety. And it kind of just, there was moments where it's like, oh, here we go again. Let's get down to the, path. But, you kind of, they remind you that, the defense is really good. They're with everyone healthy on the offense, and that's going to be the issue. I think it's going to become this season is that I don't think that the defense is going to have a problem. I think the problem with the defense is when it comes down to longevity, or when you get into week 13 and so forth, trying to keep everyone healthy, trying to keep everyone energized and motivated and playing aggressive, especially in the long stretch, getting into January. I think, going into the season, losing the first game, really having to pick up the pace in game number two, and then obviously showing stuff this week, and then come to surprise, who do you get to face in about 4 days in the Miami Dolphins, who are undefeated, and I wouldn't take the Miami Dolphins as a team to face or to tread on lightly, but we'll, there's you still gotta, go into Thursday night football on a short week. Both teams come off a victory, and we're gonna get to get a chance to dive into that more. But I was satisfied with the first win of the season for the Bengals. Obviously, like I said, first 2 weeks could have gone either way. I'm glad that they finally picked up a victory. We talked about the emphasis last week, how important, just how important it was for the Bengals to pick up this victory, because with the Browns going 2-1, with the Ravens going 2-1, all right, you don't want to play the catch-up game, being back 2 games on in the division. So picking up a game here, you're still in last place. You're still behind the Steelers, but I think you're starting to make some progression. Just a victory alone like this can help build some influence, or can help influence a season and its longevity. So, we're gonna get into some of the recaps later on today. We'll talk some Bengals and Jets. We'll take a look at around the division, and over the next few days, we're planning on talking about the some of the key importance, because like I say every week, another round of surprises of games that just really mind boggled you. It should have been one way, and it turned out to be another way. Miami beating Buffalo, Indianapolis Colts beating the Kansas City Chiefs, the Dolphins, beating the Bills, the Panthers beating the Saints. Um, you had the Titans beating the Raiders, the Jaguars coming into LA and beating the Chargers over there, the Packers running away with the victory. There's so much, you just can't be settled in the NFL when it comes down to selecting teams this year. I mean, I've come in, I put my best foot forward the last couple of weeks, trying to put out the best wins, and I know it's still early on in the season, and people are trying to get figure out exactly who they are, what type of um team they're going to be, and who's going to be contending. But a lot of teams up in the in the NFL that is just you just don't know. It's on a week to week basis, and coming out, like, for example, the Chargers dropping. I know Justin Herbert was injured, but listen, kudos to them. I don't know if this was a smart decision letting Justin Herbert play. Hopefully it didn't cost costing them the season. But the Jaguars beat the Chargers 38-10. And now, there's next day flyers is that really realistically look at the AFC South and who is really that team that you look for. Because obviously Tennessee are dealing with struggles. The Colts finally won a game. Now, maybe, just maybe, we see something out of Matt Ryan and the Indianapolis Colts. I still have them favored to win the division. But then you don't have nothing. I mean, then you got the Houston Texans. And, for the last decade, I will say, I'll go on a limb, you had the AFC South that kind of been a notorious, just a downgraded division. And they have always been a division where, you struggle to have a winning team. Even there's been numerous of playoffs where the teams win the division by going playing 500 football, and so is this the year? Also, is this another year that they continue in playing 500 football? So we'll talk about some NFL today, taking you guys up until 11 o'clock. I want to go out there and just congratulate. All right, congratulate Albert Pujols for being one of two things. One, for his 700th home run. Now, he didn't wait around. He didn't get it done in San Diego. He went up the 5 freeway to LA and did it over in Los Angeles. As a matter of fact, he did it Friday night, hitting 2 home runs back to back at his at bats, and he finally joins the 700 club, which is a small list of people. You got just 3 people involved, right? I mean, you got Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth. So among the elite, no doubt about it. So congratulations to Albert Pujols over the weekend. And listen, while we're congratulating people and teams, let's congratulate the U.S. for winning the President's Cup in golf this past weekend. We'll also congratulate the Cleveland Guardians. All right, first time as the Guardians, first time since 2018 that the that Cleveland has won and won the American League Central division out there. And I mean, when I talk about the Cleveland Guardians winning the division, I mean, they had a notorious run last week. I mean, I think they went perfect, score all week long, beating the Minnesota Twins, sweeping the Twins, and sweeping the Chicago White Sox. And take a look at the standings here just real quick, just to get confirmed. Yeah, they've won the last 7 games, clinching the division 86-67 heading into today. Just 10 games out is the White Sox. There's no way catching up to them, which means more than likely the Cleveland Browns are the only American League Central team representing the Central for the playoffs this season, as the playoff race winds down. Really busy weekend in baseball this past weekend. The Reds dropped 3 of 4 against Milwaukee. Wasn't a positive weekend out of them. They pick up a victory yesterday, and I think obviously you're facing a tough team in Milwaukee, a team that's trying to make their case to go to the playoffs. They're in that battle with Philadelphia and San Diego. San Diego had a great weekend, taking 2 of 3 against Colorado, winning back on Saturday and yesterday, Sunday. They're going to be facing the Dodgers, and then Philadelphia has, they had a couple good outings. They won 2 of 3 against Atlanta. I mean, Milwaukee needed some games to be won. And like I said, the Reds, one of my goals is I want to see the Reds come in and dive into, I want to dive into, spoiling some teams. And obviously it didn't happen last week. So is there some positives? Yeah, I think there's some positives we could take away, and we'll look into that throughout this week. They get ready to play the Pittsburgh Pirates in Pittsburgh tonight. So we'll talk about that. We'll get you the highlights and all. But overall, the playoff race is starting to wind down. It's starting to become more of an actual pitcher who, come next Friday, a week from Friday, the wild card series begins. It's a 3-game series, all at whoever's going to be at home. They don't go back and forth, and we'll dive into that conversation. But a week from Friday, playoff is here. And it's a bittersweet because, you wait all season long for this to happen, to tune into baseball and watch baseball, because the playoffs are here. And that's usually when it's most interesting to pay attention to, in the month of September and October, because, you kind of figure out, all right, who's in and who's out. But, this is finally here. And, we're looking into, who's going to represent, who's making their case. Who are you surprised about? And so, I mean, playoffs around here, very quickly. They got a few more games this week. So they got Pittsburgh this week, and then they finish off against Chicago. All right. They're going to go on the road to Chicago and then come home, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I am wrong. I don't know. Let me figure that out. I think I had that correct. Yeah. So they're going to take 3 Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. In Pittsburgh, they'll head over to Chicago for a 3-game series, all-day series, and then they'll come home for Chicago for a 3-game series. And how that works is, obviously the CBA agreement, right? Season was supposed to end. It's supposed to end this Sunday. But with the whole the lockdown and the delay of baseball this year, what they did was implement. They had like 2 series that they had to catch up on. So one of the series was enforced throughout the season, and then I believe and then one of the series was pushed into the last week of the last three week of baseball, which is the last three games that you see here. So that's dated back to the beginning of the season. You know, who are you surprised about? I mentioned, I threw this out there last week, and I still want people to think about this. Is as much as we're going to have a negative season with the Reds, right? I mean, they come into today's game, they're 60-93. I will like them over the next 12 games. I will like them to avoid 7 losses. What does that include? Well, that includes taking the series out of Pittsburgh, at least taking one of the 2 series out of Chicago. It just has to happen. But I would like to see the Reds not lose 100 games. Right? We're beyond the whole let's play some spoiler and let's play some sabotage to some of these playoff teams, right? Pittsburgh, Chicago's not into it. I would like to see Cincinnati, with the young talent that they have and the resumes that the young talents have to prove for next season. Right? Let's see them not lose 7 games this week. Is that possible? So we'll talk about some Major League Baseball, get you the wild card pitcher standing, the playoff pitcher, high school football and college football. A couple of things going out there. Just a busy world of sports over this past weekend. We'll cover a lot of that. And let's not forget about professional wrestling, right? AEW Rampage special 2-hour event last night. Back on Friday. All right, you had it was the wrap up of Grand Slam. You got to see Jungle Boy taking on Ray Phoenix, 1-on-1 match, fantastic. We'll talk a little bit about that. You got Hangman Adam Page. Congratulations to Hangman Adam Page for winning the Grand Slam Battle Royal. Now he's going to go set on to face John Moxley, and I'm overall, I really feel I like how Hangman has gotten some opportunities throughout the year since he dropped the title to Punk. I was never a fan of one dropping the title to Punk. Okay. And Hangman, when CM Punk got hurt the first time, Hangman Page was never involved into crowning the interim champion. You would think on the top of your head that you would at least have the former AEW World Champion, all right, just after dropping it within a week, right, less than a week, the former AEW champion would be considered as a contender in a interim championship role. He didn't get that, and he's gotten some opportunities since then. He's gotten a chance to face he got a chance to be in the tournament this past tournament, crowning the new AEW World Champion. He also has gotten the chance to now be in the Battle Royal, and now he is the next number 1 contender. Which, keep in mind, MJF is still has that poker chip. Who knows what the plans are now for MJF and cashing that in? Obviously, we know the destined is at the right time and at the right place. MJF will become an AEW World Champion, and I think it's rightfully due so. Chris Jericho said something, and I'll dive into this deeper probably this week. But Chris Jericho said something about MJF that I think not many athletes have. So we'll talk about Rampage. We'll talk about some SmackDown tonight that happened over the weekend. I'll also get you ready for Monday Night Raw, which is tonight. And one of the key matches that's coming out, Matt Riddle taking on Damian Priest, Seth Rollins taking on Rey Mysterio, and supposedly Sami Zayn supposed to be taking on AJ Styles after some Twitter feuds. We'll talk about all that. It's been a busy week in sports. If you're a Cincinnati fan, a couple of downsides in baseball, a couple good things coming up after our break, because we got to take a time out, you guys. All right, but when we come back, we will just kick things off on Friday. Got some high school football, some SmackDown, some Rampage, a lot to talk about. plus NFL, baseball, and more. You guys are listening to The Throne with Justin here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Take you guys up until 11 o'clock. Good morning. We'll take a break. We'll be right back here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Pujols sends one in the air. It's deep to left. Taylor's back at the wall. It's 700. Albert Pujols has joined the 700 home run club. Albert Pujols has joined Barry Bonds, Henry Aaron, and Babe Ruth as the only players to have hit 700 home runs in the big leagues. He hit 699 and 700 in the same game in back-to-back innings. He has driven in 5 runs. Isn't that perfect for number 5 to give the Cardinals a 5-0 lead with his 700th career home run here at Dodger Stadium? The swing.
Alrighty. It's a memorable moment, and it was involved into an 11-0 Cardinal victory. Didn't play well against the Padres series, but we're talking about the Albert Pujols 700th home run, joining just a small handful that you could list on your fingertips. And listen, I don't have Apple TV. And I think that's the only thing, because I watched this highlight a handful of times since Friday when it happened. And we knew it was going to happen eventually, right? We knew that eventually Pujols was going to get there, right? Those were the 2 milestone markers that we were looking for. Albert Pujols hitting 700 home runs in a career. And it was also Aaron keeping an eye out for Aaron Judge. And I think the moment was set up right. He didn't hit 1, he hit 2. Albert Pujols played for the Angels for a period of time, also played for nearly a decade, also played for the Dodgers at the end of his tenure in Anaheim. And, it's kind of, out of all the places you could do it at, I think the only other best place you would want to hit number 700 would be at, would have to be at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. But instead, I think this is the second best spot that you could possibly do it. You formerly played with them in the playoffs and with them on the season. And you've got, and you gotta, there's no other perfect place for a career like Albert Pujols. 699 came in the top of the 3rd inning. All right. It was his 21st of the season. And he had it off of Andrew Heaney with 1 on when 1 out. And then you had in inning number 4, lucky number 700, with Phil Bickford on 2 on and 2 outs. So congratulations. That was the only run scored in that time. Pujols got a chance to go 2 for 4 in Friday night's game. 2 hits, 2 runs, 4 at bats, 5 RBIs total, 1 strikeout. So kind of everything just falling into place as we kick off a weekend review recap here on a Monday morning here on the Throwing with Justin on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. And the Dodgers and Cardinals, good series. For the Dodgers, I think it's a realistic term, is that if there's any team that can compete against the Dodgers, I think the Cardinals have a better chance. Always has been, in my belief. All right. The Dodgers beat the Cardinals in the 3-game series. They won Saturday 6-2 and Sunday 4-1. But just kind of soaking it in for a moment. All right. First, Latino, Hispanic, making his presence known. And hey, listen, gonna go down on the record books. All right, history of all time, greatest day. Aaron Judge still trying to search for 61 home runs this weekend, but just diving into a Friday eventful. If you didn't get a chance, obviously that was on Apple TV. It was kind of bumming that we couldn't watch it, and you had to kind of sit. I don't think a lot of people expected going into Friday that would have been a game where he would have hit 2, nonetheless 1. So, I mean, now, hey, that's behind them, which is great because now they could focus in on getting ready for the postseason if they either have to face the Phillies or if they have to face the Padres or even the Milwaukee Brewers. Well, taking on some Friday night sports as well, some high school sports coming around. Like I mentioned, we want to pick out a few good teams on Friday nights, talk about just some scores. The ranked number 1, Archbishop, came into the game against LaSalle 5-0, and LaSalle was 2-3. Number 1 taking on number 25, and you really clearly saw the reason why the one's 1 and one's 25 as Archbishop defeat LaSalle 47-14. You had a couple really good. Number 2, Lakota West 5-0, also taking on another 2-3. Ranked number 4, Hamilton. This was probably as much stretch, but I think there's more precedence over shutting out a number 24 ranked team, Hamilton, 38-30. There was a couple of key games, a couple of good, more rivalry games going on. You had Saint Xavier 2-3 to number 5 Saint Xavier, and that's 2-3. That took on number 3 Elder. So that was 4-1. Elder just blew them out of the water here. 42-10 final score. More of a closer matchup in Fairfield taking on Princeton. Both sitting around the same record, 5-0, 4-1. Number 6 versus number 7. Well, Princeton upset Fairfield 28-14. And then we dived on into the ranked number 11, Covington. Like I said, just a few teams that we looked at here. Covington, because that big boy that we talked about earlier last week, and see if I get that name again for you. And William Rodriguez, Covington went in 4-1. They beat Cooper 14-7. More of a closer game, but a win nonetheless. And then we take a look over at our good friends at Armchair Booking and number 23, Western Brown, Drew Novak, highlight of the year. Western Brown 4-1 takes on New England back on Friday, defeats them by 16 points, 36-20. Congratulations to Western Browns. So some great high school football stuff going on here around town, around the league that leads you up. I mean, listen, you kind of, I got a chance to kind of scroll through the phone, try to find out some highlights, trying to find out some deals, looked into the Max Prep report that happens every Friday night that you could check out, and it kind of just sets you up for a good weekend in the world of football. And that's not all that happened on a Friday. We had Rampage and we had SmackDown. So we're going to talk a little bit about AEW Rampage as the conclusion of Grand Slam. All right, concluded last Friday night on a special 2-hour episode, and then Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, has something to address with Solo Sikoa as SmackDown as we get closer to for Extreme Rules. So still a lot of that to come. We'll still wrap up Friday's events talking about AEW and WWE, and then we'll talk a little bit about football and baseball all the way up until 11 o'clock right here on a Throwing with Justin here on a Monday on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. .42 here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. The Throwing with Justin, any episode on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel, is given to you thanks to StreamYard Studios, the proud home of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel here, where you can create your podcast, YouTube videos, host virtual business meetings, and even conduct your own interviews. Check out their free version today at StreamYard.com. Alrighty, kicking off another week. Still wrapping up the weekend here in the world of sports. Diving into a Monday here, taking you back to Friday. I told you there was a lot of sports going on. You guys didn't. Maybe you guys believe me. Maybe you guys didn't. I don't know what you guys catch out. What did you guys talk about? Did you guys watch a lot of football? Did you guys watch a lot of baseball this weekend? Like I said, there was plenty of games I told you about. Listen, AEW Rampage was on last night, back on Friday, wrapping up they were wrapping up a 2-hour special on Grand Slam, when it was an impactful schedule. I mean, I knew there were some matches I was already knowing. That was a week prior. Darby Allin and Sting taking on the Black of House. And then you had Jungle Boy that was promoted, taking on Rey Fenix. Then you had Wardlow and Samoa Joe taking on Tony Nese and Josh Woods. So, I mean, there was already impactful matches. Now, I mean, obviously it's distinct, right? There were matches that probably just didn't belong on a program like that. That's why it was on a Rampage. Nothing was too exciting, in my opinion. Nothing really overemphasized why you wanted to watch it, other than it was a 2-night. You just didn't know what was happening, what could have happened on the program. And then I think the only thing that really sparked me was the 25-man battle royal, because we wanted to see who was Jon Moxley's first opponent after becoming, once again, AEW World Champion. Right? And yeah, MJF has that poker chip, which he could cash in at any time, anywhere. Right? But, you kind of want to know, okay, so Jon Moxley was supposed to take a 6 to 7 week vacation, didn't do that. He comes back, he skips his vacation, becomes champion again, which I thought maybe, and just maybe, Bryan Danielson last week was going to win the title so that Moxley could have some time off, right? But it didn't work that case. Instead, you had Moxley win, which, I mean, there's nothing good, nothing to it. All right, congratulations to Jon Moxley. I think anyone holding that title right now in AEW is one of the Blackpool Combat Club members. So there's nothing wrong with Jon Moxley holding the AEW World Champion. It's better than CM Punk holding that title. But I mean, in my opinion, I just have other people up front. It kind of changes the image a little bit. And I think right now, knowing that, John Moxley, AEW is about to head into Cincinnati within a month, in just a matter of fact, a few weeks, you kind of want to have Moxley representing the AEW World Champion in AEW and be a big event. People will go crazy. So, and that's why, my opinion, that's why he is champion. But he's going to be a good champion regardless. And his first opponent is going to be Hangman Page. All right, and I mentioned that back at the beginning of this hour, and I mentioned at the beginning of the show that Hangman Page is finally once again getting back in the title picture. I didn't believe that he should have ever left. Right, there was empty as soon as Hangman Page lost the title to Punk. It was almost as if they were trying to erase his run as AEW World Champion. All right, they didn't. When Punk got hurt after defeating Hangman Page, he had to, go up on the shelf for a little bit, and they created a tournament, a turmoil tournament, right? Where Hangman was left out of it. And I was flustered on why would you have the former AEW World Champion left out of this tournament? And all summer long, it's, you really deceive someone's career by not keeping them involved in two matches like this. I mean, I know Bryan Danielson's been quiet. He's been up and down with injuries, but he's been quiet all summer. Putting him in this tournament gives him that extra edge. Now what you're doing, what you did with this tournament, is that you re-highlighted those key talented guys who's like, this is my focus point. This is who I'm putting my money, who I'm putting on the screen, because this is where my money's going. That was guys like Sammy Guevara, because you can't doubt that Sammy Guevara is not doing a good job. He had another incredible match with Eddie Kingston. Well, I mean, even though it was a shortened match, but you take a look at Bryan Danielson. You take a look at Chris Jericho. That's why they put the Ring of Honor championship on him. Right? I mean, doesn't he not, is he not one of the top guys in the industry, and especially in AEW? I mean, don't get me wrong, Claudio having that title run is great, but I think there's more things for Claudio other than the Ring of Honor TV champion. If you're asking me, what the one thing I would like to see is, I would like to see Samoa Joe and Claudio face off with each other. But for at the end of the day, if you were tuning into Rampage, because Rampage is not my number one show to tune into, I just wouldn't prefer on a Friday night at 10 o'clock after SmackDown done. There's 2 hours. That's enough wrestling. I've always still believed that Monday Night Raw being 3 hours is just a little too much. I mean, yeah, they've done better with booking segments in between and making things more interesting. But overall, SmackDown being 3 hours is a little obsessive still. I think if you can't tell your story in 2 hours, then it doesn't belong on the screen. All right, bring back main event every Saturday night, something like that. But, Rampage at 10 o'clock to 11, I just kind of, I zone out. I just don't tune into it unless there's something that really captures me. But every once in a while, I'll tune into it. Every once in a while, I'll take a glance at Rampage. I'll read the articles. I'll read the news and all that. One thing that really intrigued me last Saturday is, once again, it's always fun. And I think a lot of people will take this for granted, is watching a guy like Sting in the ring. Doesn't matter what type of role he plays. Just the fact that we still see him, all right, as old as he is, and he's well above his 50s, probably in his 60s, right? 60 years old, something like that. But as old as he is, as long of an icon as he's been, all right, shaping the image for WCW, and brought that over to TNA, and then for that short time with WWE, and now he's sharing his wealth and knowledge in AEW. But the fact to see him in the ring, I think, is something that you got to stop for a moment, soak it all in, right? So you get the chance to, if you had Apple TV on a Friday night, you get a chance to watch some high school football, right? And then you got home, you turned on AEW, maybe listen to the Dodgers game. So you got a chance to soak in two things. And I kind of want to emphasize this. How much did you guys soak in Albert Pujols hitting 700 home runs? How much did you soak in Sting in a match last night, Friday night? What I want you to do, I think this is crucial. Even every time you see badass Billy Gunn in a ring competing, every time you see Paul Wright in the ring competing, right? Every time you see Saraya, because you know the injuries have come and gone. Every time that you see, Randy Orton or you see Edge, these older icons, I think it's time to stop, take a step back, and smell those roses. Because once again, Sting, although it's been more limited of what he's been able to do, I think AEW works well around it. All right, and he was the highlight of the show. He got a chance to pin and pin Buddy and take on that victory. So although he didn't maybe do all the high flying moves and the spectaculars, he's still moving around with these young guys. And that's the perfect example on why Saraya fits perfectly in WWE. That's the perfect reason why Bryan Danielson fits perfectly in WWE. These guys who are probably more cautious about their injuries and their health. I think AEW, probably been saying WWE, AEW, apologize, but AEW fits perfectly with these guys. Saraya fits perfectly in AEW because what you saw on Friday with Sting. They're going to be used according to their health. I don't think AEW ever wants to overwork any athletes. I don't think WWE wants to do that either. But they really have the roster so that you don't have to go back and forth. Right? You don't have to choose who, you don't have to sit there and be forced to go out there each and every Friday and put on an event. See, Sting could have a few 1 or 2 weeks in a row where he has to go put on a match. And then there's a lot of other nights, okay, for the next month or so, where he's just going to be able to be a sideline or come out when it pleased. So Ray is going to be able to do the same thing. And I think that's what works well for them. But then here's my counter argument to that, because it's never a one-win battle with these things. Because I was reading an article this past weekend over Ember Moon, I just know Anitha, Athena, whatever. I call it Ember Moon because that's what I know her by. I don't, but I've seen her, there was an article about her saying that she doesn't want to get lost in the mix. And I've been talking about this since day one. I mean, I think even AEW talent has talked about this since day one, especially the veterans. It is you are very easily capable of getting mixed inside all of that mess up there in AEW, where if you're not in that spotlight and they're not pushing you directly, you're just getting tossed in when and where just to fill in shoes, you're going to be left behind. And so right now, what some of these AEW stars are going through is, where's my place? Okay, you guys have this rounded roster. You have this talent that's been building for a couple years now. You have all these championships on the line. But then where do I fit into that picture? Well, you're trying to put the Jeff Hardys and the Stings and the Chris Jerichos out there. And then you're going to try to put the John Moxleys, Bryan Danielsons, MJFs out there. And then you get to Wardlow and Samoa Joe and Ricky Starks in the worlds. Dr. Britt Baker's at top with Thunder Rosa and Jade Cargill. And I tell you, without a title for, and so you just wonder, with a lot of these athletes. Where do they quite fit? Right? If you are not in that picture, you're not at the top, you're not competing week in and week out on Dynamite, on Rampage. Dark doesn't do anything for you anymore. If you're not on Dynamite, you're not on Rampage, what are you doing? Where do you fit inside AEW? So, what did we learn from AEW Rampage? We had Jungle Boy and Rey Fenix, which you have to also enjoy. I mean, I'm starting to enjoy the Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. And I saw a meme about if you're gonna make Luchasaurus heel, just call him Rex. That's fine. I mean, what I liked most about this what took place on Friday night with Jungle Boy Christian Cage is that Christian Cage and Luchasaurus didn't do anything until after the match. So you did, I mean, although you were sitting on the edge, and if you've been paying attention to this feud, you were sitting around waiting for something to happen with Christian or Luchasaurus. But realistically, you saw Jungle Boy take on Rey Fenix in a simple one-on-one matchup, and it was a clean fight. And it wasn't until after the match where Christian Cage and Luchasaurus comes down and beats down Jungle Boy, warning him just basically, hey, don't show up. You're done. We're going to end you. And I feel, you're starting to feel this, getting behind Jungle Boy like you've always have. But you're also building heat on Christian, which I love this 1-2 punch combination. So congratulations to Hangman Adam Page. Congratulations to Sting. I want to say that. I want to also, once again, congratulate to Albert Pujols for winning, for hitting the 700th home run. Congratulate the Cleveland Guardians for winning the American League Central. And Aaron Judge is still waiting for his 61st home run of the season. That will do it for hour number 1. Hour number 2 coming back up here after this break. We still got some SmackDown to talk about, get you guys ready for Monday Night Raw. I'm going to put that on the back burner, talk about that at the bottom of the hour. Want to talk some college football a little later on as well. And let's not forget about some baseball as we dive into the Reds and the playoff race. That's all still to come. Hour number 2 coming up here next on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
They get Freddie Peralta today and expect a shorter start from him, Vinny. Farmer takes a called third strike for a strikeout for Freddie Peralta.
Good pitch right there by Freddie Peralta. Kyle Farmer does not hit right-handed pitchers well, let alone a right-hander of the quality that Freddie Peralta is in that pitch.
Good to see Hunter Renfroe get the keys to the bus last night, and he drives one towards right center. Way back, Hunter Renfroe has given the Brewers a 1-0 lead. Boys, he dialed in. Breeze or not, that ball was crushed.
First pitch he sees from Nick Lodolo, you said it, Jeff, he is dialed in right now, locked in. And it all started with that opposite field base hit last night against Graham Ashcraft, and ever since, wow, that was a bomb. That's his 3rd home run in 2 games.
Here comes Freddie, and he walked him. So he fell behind 3-1, came back. Aquino fouled a couple of tough pitches off, and then didn't chase. Peralta going to have to work a little harder to get out of the 2nd inning, and now base hit the other way for Reynolds. So 2-out walk, and then the single. Tying run in scoring position for Austin Romine. Ground ball hit towards short. Adames has it, feeds Urias, and they get the out on Reynolds at second base. So Freddie Peralta, 2 scoreless innings for him today. We head to the 3rd inning, 1-0 Milwaukee.
And now Austin Romine will come to the plate with the bases loaded after back-to-back walks at Aquino and Reynolds.
Down, and they nearly got him. Ball trickles away, and it did. And the Reds have their first run. Romine, the RBI the hard way. Lopez home. It's 1-1.
Brewers bringing in Peter Strzelecki here to try and stop this Reds rally. He's been a good one in terms of allowing these base runners to stay right where they are. Payoff. Ground ball, tough play. Brasso has it, throws to first, got him. Strzelecki comes in with the bases loaded and leaves them right where they are.
Spencer Steer is 1 for 3. He singled back in the third.
Steer clobbers it to center. Mitchell back, spins, it's gone! The Reds' first lead of the day on Spencer Steer's second homer in the show.
Well, you mentioned it. It was his first opportunity to hit for a big league club and hit that ball as a number 4 hitter with profile, with power.
In the ninth, up 1, David Bell turns to Alexis Diaz. Struck him out, slider away. Struck him out. Romine lobs down to first, completes the put out 2-3.
There it is.
Alexis Diaz strikes out the side, a perfect ninth. And the Reds win the finale 2-1 over the Brewers.
All righty. Well, it wasn't, probably wasn't a weekend to remember for the Cincinnati Reds. Although they won yesterday in a final score 2-1 over Milwaukee, they found some struggles all weekend long. Dropping the first game of the series 5-1. We talked about that on Friday. 5-3 on Friday night. They fell short. They got clobbered on Saturday. It feels like that's what Milwaukee does what Milwaukee does whenever they come into town, especially over the weekend. But overall, picking up 1 of 4, not too bad. And you dive into Sunday's game where you kind of expected more, you kind of got a lot more over the rookies and taking a look into a lot of these younger guys who are now making their case for next season. And I still believe there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the Reds organization, right? You really unloaded the entire veteran staff besides maybe a Mike Minor. I mean, you got Joey Votto, Mike Moustakas. Those guys are going to be sitting down for the rest of the year, and they'll most likely be back next year. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done. A lot of empty rows, and you can't rely on a lot of these younger guys. I mean, bullpen-wise was an epic, utter failure. You need something to start with the starting pitching. And it's one of those headaches where, okay, you got some. Where are you confident in anything that the Reds put out there on the field? I told you the other day that, the only person that you really feel comfortable in getting the ball every 5 days and possibly giving you a win is Nick Lodolo. And that's what he did yesterday in the top performers. Nick Lodolo went 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run with 6 strikeouts, giving up that solo home run to Hunter Renfroe. You got you also had what's his name? You got Steer. Is it Stefan Steer? Yeah. Let's pull that up. Yeah, Spencer Steer, my bad. I mean, he went 2 for 4, home run, an RBI, and a run. I mean, 1 home run for both teams. That's what really said it all. Brewers lost. They put up 1 run, 5 hits, 1 error, with 3 left on base, no stolen bases, 9 total base left on, and pretty much matched up as the Reds put 2 runs in, 6 hits, a home run, 10 men left on base, 10 men at bat. What is this? 1 home run, 3 left on base, 1 error. The Reds, 2 runs, 6 hits, 1 home run, 8 men left on base with no errors. Excuse me. Brewers gained a 1 game in the wild card after a 3-1 road trip. Pretty much all it's said and done. So now the Reds, although they picked up the victory, and you're kind of right back to where we've all started. Right now we got 12 more games left. You got today, tomorrow, and Wednesday against the Pirates. You got 3 beginning on Friday, all-day games in Chicago. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday all begin at 2:20 Eastern Time against the Cubs. And then you got 3 home games next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to finish off the season. And so you're glad that the season is practically done with. You're glad that you don't have to face the Cardinals no more. You're glad that you could take a step back, get into the conference rooms, and start figuring out just how you're going to put a winning team on this next season. Because there's a lot of things changing next year. You got, the shift is being eliminated, the pitch clock is being enforced, and then you got to worry about facing all 29 other teams next year. And I will tell you this, that listen, you want people to go to the games, and I get that, and you're going to get people to go to the games. That's just the nature of the beast. Cincinnati is a sports city. Right? There's nothing else really going on in the luxury riverbed of Cincinnati other than sports. Baseball, football, even the Cyclones. Even soccer. That FC Cincinnati will be playing tomorrow, a chance to get into the playoffs for MLS, Major League Soccer. And we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. But you want to bring up guys, you're bringing up guys. You're going to need some veterans with those guys that can help give you some sort of advantage going into the regular season. But no, you gotta find a way to come out of finish off the season strong over the next 12 games. The Reds are sitting at 60-93, and I asked you guys earlier, can the Reds, what does the Reds have to do in order to avoid losing 100 games? That's 7 games away, and I'm sure that the Reds could lose 100 games. I'm confident. I'm going to stay confident. As the people around here probably know, I don't care. I'm going to stay confident. What does that mean? What do you have to do? You can't drop 6 against Chicago this weekend. You can't drop the series to Pittsburgh this week. Pittsburgh's 3 games away from losing 100 games. Let's go into this series that begins tonight at PNC Park. Let's sweep the Pirates. Let's give them 70, 98, 99, and 100 losses. I would love to see that. Chase Anderson is on the mound for the Reds tonight. He's 2 for 3 with the 5.21 ERA and 18 strikeouts. Wawanzi Contreras. Not a lot on his repertoire here. He's 5-5, 3.68 ERAs in 88 innings pitched, 84 strikeouts on the record. Last game pitched was 5 days ago against the Yankees in New York, where he lost, giving up 6 hits and 6 runs, 2 walks, and 10 strikeouts in 4.2 of an inning. So the Pirates are really going to give him that shot to go out there and go as long as possible, or as long as he needs. And if he's striking out people, he can put up the runs. They're not going to take him out right away. So that game begins at 6:35 tonight. Okay, with the Pirates sitting at 56-97, dead last into the AL Central. Reds are in 4th place. Chicago Cubs are in 3rd. And coming up later on today, you got the Washington Nationals hosting the Atlanta Braves. New York Yankees taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Baltimore Orioles taking on the Boston Red Sox. Other than the Reds and the Pirates game that we're so fascinated in listening to, you may tune into the Braves game because you're looking for the Braves to figure out just where they are going to be placed at the end of the season, whether they can capture the National League East and overcome those Mets that are currently a game and a half above them? Or are they going to host that wild card spot that they have a comfortable lead in? You want to follow the Toronto Blue Jays and the Yankees, because the Blue Jays in this factor, just 2 games away from, Yankees are 2 games away from winning the East. Toronto is 2.5 games above the wild card, a game and a half. Well, I guess a total of 2 games above Tampa Bay. And you're also looking for Aaron Judge to hit number 61 and tying Roger Maris's home run record. Or you may tune into Baltimore this weekend, or this week, today, who are now 4 games out of Seattle in the wild card race. They're sitting at 79 and 73. Let's dive into while we're talking about the wild card. So those are the 4 games that you could listen to, and I suggest listening to one of those 4 games. Talking about those standings, let's take into the divisional leaders. The Houston Astros and the Cleveland Guardians have both won their divisions. The Yankees are just 2 games aside from winning the East, with Toronto sitting 8.5 games back. The wild card looks Toronto, Tampa Bay, Seattle, with Baltimore on the outside looking in, just 4 games back of Seattle, 7 games away from being eliminated. A lot of things could happen this week. Chicago, slim chance. There's 3 games away. There's 7.5 games back. Over the National League side, the Dodgers not only won the division, but they have clinched the first round bye. They're the first team to clinch, and they're going to have the best record, so they're going to have the home field advantage when it comes down to the playoffs. The Mets are right behind, followed by the Cardinals, who are, if I am not mistaken, let's just check here. The Cardinals are 3 games away from clinching the NL Central, and I wouldn't doubt put that anything across the front of them from Milwaukee. But Atlanta, San Diego has a game and a half above Philadelphia in the wild card positioning. Although if there was a break tie, Philadelphia will lead it. 85-68 is the Padres, 83-69 is the Phillies. On the outside looking in, a game and a half back, Milwaukee. And if you're looking close into this race, San Diego has that lead over Milwaukee if they shall tie. So Milwaukee's 9 games out. San Francisco's 2 games away from being eliminated, and that NL wild card's looking to be a race down the week. Now, looking into this week, what do you look into? Well, you got Milwaukee in a 2-game series against St. Louis. Okay, hopefully you're at home, so you would want to at least win 1 of 2, right? But then Philadelphia is in Chicago tomorrow. And then you got the Padres home for the Dodgers, which you know how the Dodgers are played against the Padres all season long. You got the Mets home to Miami tomorrow, and then the Braves kicking off a series against Washington tonight. Houston takes on Toronto in Toronto. Well, the Cleveland tomorrow, Tampa Bay will be in Cleveland facing the Guardians. And Seattle is taking on Texas at home. And Baltimore begins their series tonight in Boston. So those are what is coming up here over the next few days, looking into the wild card position. So, hey, listen, it's last week and a half of baseball, right? At least of regular season. I'm hoping by Friday we could come with a more clearer vision on what the postseason looks like. But I'm pretty certain by the end of this week we're gonna see who's gonna be in the close, who's gonna be, probably the division winners at least, and then the last few wild card games may not be decided until next Monday, if not next Wednesday or Thursday. But baseball is looking to be shaping up as a good scenario, good season here as we wind down, which that's what you want, right? I mean. You kind of go into the stretch where baseball is boring and the longevity and all, And I get that. It is. You can't deny it. But then you get into, well, you got the the playoffs in here. That's when baseball is really, really good. So that's looking out tonight. Reds and Pirates tonight. We're going to take a break, step away. We'll talk some Bengals football as they beat the New York Jets for the first win on the season, putting them 2-1. Jets go down 2-1, 27-12. We'll get you the highlights. That's still to come, taking you up until 11 here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
3rd and 9 for the Bengals. Just underway here in the opening quarter. Burrow steps into it, delivers along the sideline, and T. Higgins has got it for a first down in a matchup with DJ Reed. With another shot here. Burrow tries to get out of it, buys time, throws, touchdown! P-Ryan on the receiving end, and the Bengals cash in.
Lose the challenge, and the Jets did pretty much everything correct, except Joe Burrow ultimately made them wrong by his move.
First Jets rookie with a 100-yard receiving game and 2 touchdowns. Flacco in stride, and it's Wilson. The rookie continues to flash. Man will hold it. Hennessy, the snapper. From 50 yards away, Zerline. He knocks it through. Jets are on the board.
A much better showing from those guys up front.
Chase lines up to the side of Burrow, and he looks for him. Chase the catch at the 40, fumbles the football, and the Jets have it. Chase took a pop. Flacco's really enjoyed playing with these young guys, and that exuberance, you saw it in the locker room after the victory over Cleveland. The field goal from Zerline is good. That's what made the Bengals great last year. That's what they will do again this season. No tentativeness. Final seconds of the first quarter. Burrow on time. Tyler Boyd breaks away, and now it's a foot race. Boyd will take it for the touchdown. Cincinnati gets the score at the end of the first quarter. 56 yards. A catch and run for Boyd.
He thinks, if you're going to do that, I will make you pay. I'll take the hit and I'll deliver. And how about Tyler Boyd? After the catch, turns it to the human pinball off of 2 different defenders and carries it into the end zone. Look at this. Absorbs the first shot from Whitehead. Carter unable to get involved as well. And then Boyd's off.
Michael Carter now in the backfield. They'll rotate between Carter, the second-year running back from North Carolina, and the rookie Breece Hall. Flacco steps up, loses the ball at the end of the play. Cam Sample got there. Flacco was in a throwing motion. They send Carter out of the backfield. Flacco hit from behind. The ball is loose. And a fight for it. Trey Hendrickson with the hit. Got a 14-6 lead on the Jets. Joe Mixon in the backfield on first down and 10 from the 25. Burrow pushing it downfield. The deep shot caught by Higgins. Cal Adamitis, the snapper that stepped in week 2. Healthy scratch for the 3rd consecutive week at wide receiver. Here comes the blitz. They handle it. Flacco downfield. Intercepted Logan Wilson. Returning for Cincinnati. Wilson takes the sideline and he's still going. Oh, the ball pops free. At the 25-yard line. It was up for grabs. And it just didn't work out. The overtime loss to Pittsburgh. McPherson has been fantastic, though, in his short career. 43-yarder. Drifting through. Formerly with the Rams and the Cowboys. The kick from 52 yards away. He's got it. Flag thrown at the 34. 3rd down and 4. Flacco hit from behind. The ball appeared to pop free, and the Bengals have it. Hendrickson with the hit. And B.J. Hill on the recovery. Burrow on 3rd and goal. Burrow hooks a pass. Wide open. Chase. Touchdown. Bengals.
And Chase running free. You see the hit at the end there that Burrow takes. But he'll do that all day long for a wide open receiver.
Final score, Tennessee getting the win. The Vols in a great atmosphere.
Just, he might be a little salty.
Flacco up top. Big hit. And Corey Davis holds on to the football. He's made a couple of field goals of 50 or more yards. First time he's done that in the same game since 2015. Zerline's kick is through.
They wanted to keep the ball in front, make you check it down, and rally up and tackle. Good break it there.
And it's Hall for a first down across the 30-yard line.
As you can see, the Jets are lined up now in their 5-wide formation.
And once again, Trey Hendrickson off the edge, just like we've been seeing all game long.
Caught him one-on-one again.
It's 4th and 1. Knocked up in the air, intercepted, game over.
Alrighty. Well, you can sit there and draw the conclusions as much as you want, but I think it's fair enough to say that, you could kind of now breathe as a Cincinnati Bengal fan for picking up the first victory on the season. They move 1-2. The Jets are going down to 2-2. And I don't want to say, I don't want to jump to conclusions and say, yeah, this is where the Bengals need to be at. This is where they deserve to be at. And they finally found the rhythm back on Sunday, right? I mean, the comparisons for total yardage, 330 to 328, right? When you look at the total penalty, it was 5 to 4, 30. I mean, less yardage, 25 more points for the Jets. Total time of possessions, they had 32 minutes to 27. I mean, so overall, the Bengals were as even as the Jets. You get down to more of the individual stats, right? You got Joe Flacco over there, 28 for 52. This is more of a passing team, and when you get behind, you can't establish the run, right? You kind of get that pressure where you have to start passing the ball when you're down, right? And that's what ends up happening for a team like the New York Jets, and they don't have all that great people. I mean, listen, Copeland, all right, 8 receptions, 84 yards. All right, Wilson, 6 receptions, 60 yards. Wasn't that bad. Tyler Boyd, man, on that point, right? Tyler Boyd, 4 receptions, 105 yards. Higgins followed by him with 593. Chase only has 6 receptions, but for 28, scored a touchdown. All right, the rushing wasn't all that great. They only went, Perrine went 47, Mixon went 24 yards and 12 carries. So the run game was stopped by the Jets defense. It was the passing game. And what it was is that I don't know if there's been adjustments because, Burrow got hit plenty of times again on Sunday. I'll be the first person to tell you that Burrow was, I wasn't pleased how many times Burrow got hit. But you know what you did is that the defenders, I believe that the Jets were sending more guys up to the line, therefore most likely being able to leave a guy wide open. So I wouldn't call this as much as a physical defense or physical win. I'm just gonna be up in the air about it. I don't quite know. I'm not believing yet in the Bengals. Yeah, they had a strong defense. They held the Jets to a 12-point lead. All right, but what happens when you get out to an early lead and you force that defense to throw the ball, that offense to throw the ball? Right, when you force Joe Flacco to sit there in the pocket and have to throw, and then you go man on man, and your man on man coverage is better than the man on man coverage for the offense. You find yourself being able to get to Joe Flacco more because he's going to have to sit in the pocket longer, and that's where the Bengals defense succeeds at. Right, is the coverage within each other, right? Keeping those guys spread out among the field when no one's able to get to them, whether it's in zone, whether it's in man coverage, bringing the right amount of pressure. They've seen that in all 3 games. And the 3 games that the Bengals should have won. But how much of the offensive success that Joe Burrow had, let's be honest. Yeah, I didn't say it's time to hit the panic button. It's not time to hit the panic button. And they needed the win yesterday, and they got the win yesterday. But how many times were Burrow, had to get hit? I mean, how many times, they couldn't establish the running game? And I consider on a simple team like the Jets, because if a team could come in there and stop the running game, and they, and it's going to be a good team like the Packers or the Buccaneers or the Chiefs or the Bills, you ain't beating them this time around. So, there's some good things to take away from this game. All right, they won the game. You got to go back home. You're going to have a short week. You got to go face the Dolphins, right? On a Thursday night football, which I couldn't find last week with the Steelers and the Browns. So, unless you have Amazon Prime, you're not watching this game. If so, please find it. Tell me where I can find this game other than Amazon Prime and YouTube. But you're going to go face the Dolphins that are 3-0. All right, the Dolphins that beat the Buffalo Bills. Now, I'm not saying anything special about the Dolphins. All right, and I'm not saying that the Jets are bad. I'm not saying the Dolphins are good. I think there was a lot of it's said this past weekend when the Dolphins beat the Bills 21-19. This is talking about just a week ago how they murdered the Tennessee Titans. They fall short to the Dolphins. And I don't know. I'm not quite yet to believe that the Dolphins are going to run away with this division. I still feel that it's very early to tell. Josh Allen, it's only 1 game. But when you make bold statements last week, and you got to eat your words, right? That's just how it is. When you make bold statements like the Bills and the Chiefs are those teams to be forced to be reckoned with. These are the 2 greatest NFL teams right now in the league, and they go on to both lose because Bills lose to the Dolphins, and let's not forget that the Chiefs lost to the Colts this past weekend as well. So there's a lot to be said. Yet again, any given Sunday, and I think that's a climax to be made in every football year from here on out until proven otherwise. The Panthers beat the Saints. We'll talk a little. The Colts beat the Chiefs, giving them their first loss. They're 1-1-1. You got another upset in the Titans beating the Raiders. Raiders being the only team 0-3. The Jaguars beating the Chargers 38-10. The Falcons beating the Seahawks. The Packers beating the Buccaneers. And the 49ers losing to Denver Broncos. And you think about that. I was actually looking this up, and I may have it on my phone. I want to check into that because Jimmy Garoppolo finally gets his contract extension, and this is what he gets paid for, right? He gets paid just for being inactive on the roster, right? He'll get roughly $29,000 in a bonus money for the entire season. Garoppolo can earn up to $500,000 per game roster bonus, expected to earn $500,000. That's how much he's expected. All right, perks of being a starter. For every game where Garoppolo takes at least 25% of the snaps at quarterback, he'll get a bonus of $250,000. That means he made $250,000 in week 2, and if he stays healthy, he'll be getting $250,000 bonus for each game or for each of the next 15 games checks. Expected to get about $4 million. And then winning payoffs. On top of the $250,000 Garoppolo will get, he'll also get $100,000 if the 49ers win any game where he plays at least 25% of the snaps for the purpose of the exercise, we'll say if the Niners win 10 games, you expected to get $1 million. This is a guy who was a second-string quarterback about 2 weeks ago. Trey Lance gets hurt. He comes up and now negotiates something big. And then he drops the first game that he finally gets to start against the Broncos. 11-10. For me, it's a piss-poor game in Denver. And that's just my saying. We'll dive more into the NFL around the league tomorrow and Wednesday. Like I said, the Bengals start the short week here as they get prepared for the Dolphins that are 3-0. Tonight, Monday Night Football, MetLife Stadium. You saw the Jets yesterday. Now you get to see the Giants, who are 2-0, to go up against the Cowboys, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Dak Prescott's still uncertain here to play. So I believe, in my opinion, I think they have the Giants scheduled to win this one. And I wouldn't go past right now, even though the Cowboys won 21-6 last time. A lot of things have changed the previous time. So I say that the Giants are going to win this one. I won't put my money on it until I see Dak Prescott back. So we'll look into that. That's on ESPN. And then something that also came out, hearing the stories about, all right, here's the Super Bowl, who's going to perform at the Super Bowl. It's been announced over the weekend that that Rihanna will be performing at the Super Bowl halftime show. There was also an article that said that Taylor Swift is going to be also performing. I don't know the combinations. I would love to figure that out, the details out. I'm not going to buy too much into that until later on in the season. Not really too big about it, other than the actual game. But here's also that came out this morning I thought to share before the break. The league announces Monday that the 2023 Pro Bowl will be re-imaged, as a Pro Bowl games. The event will be a week-long celebration of skills featured an exciting new format that spotlight flag football. And, I'm actually very enthusiastic about this. I want to see where this goes. I want to see how they play this. It will be interesting. I don't know how many people are going to pay attention, if it's going to draw more people, but I know that the Pro Bowl, I don't like the format of the Pro Bowl. All right. I don't like the fact that it shows up the week before this Super Bowl. I don't like the fact that whoever represents the Super Bowl, the two teams that represent the Super Bowl can't have their Pro Bowl elections be announced. And I just don't, this is just like the NBA playoffs. There's like MLB playoffs and the NHL All-Star game, All-Star games, right? There's just no, you want to see the best of the best play, but they're making it more, you want to see I like to see the competition. All right. It's great to go put up 155 points. I mean, these, 66 to 67 points in the football game, whatever. I'm just not a big fan of it. I think want to see best on best go at it and really draw hard. And since there are no stipulations, let's change it this year. Maybe it'll draw more, maybe it won't. I don't know. But, you'll get a chance to, things are changing for the Pro Bowl this year. The Pro Bowl games expected to change. Obviously, they've done stuff like that 20 years ago. I enjoyed it. Maybe they'll do the same thing again and see how people change. I mean, it's time for change, right? Always the evolution of change. All right, let's take our last break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about SmackDown and get you guys ready for Monday Night Raw. All right, taking guys up until 11 here on a Monday. You guys are listening to the Throw In with Justin here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. .45 here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find the perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link and is the TNC Sports Talk is proud to be using Epidemic Sound. For more information, check out epidemicsound.com. This one here is Violet Sky by Fellow. Just kicking things off on a Monday. Like to get a little slower start as we dive into everything that happened over the weekend, as we get into Monday Night Raw tonight, as we take a look at baseball, football, and we'll dive a lot deeper into these sports. NHL kicked off this past weekend in a preseason exhibition, and I'm trying to almost figure out, okay, do we cover NHL? Do we cover NBA? I'm not necessarily a huge follower of these sports, just because sometimes like the news, and I don't have a lot of, what I want to figure out and all that stuff. The Blue Jackets lost to the Penguins back on yesterday, 2-3, and final score, I believe that's the only game that they had. Yeah, and then it was actually a double header, and then the Blue Jackets beat the Penguins 5-1. So they're 1-0-1. I mean, that's in Columbus, and that's the other thing. Like, is there a specific team that you want to follow? I mean, the Cincinnati Cyclones is the minor league affiliates to the Columbus Blue Jackets. So whatever happens in Cincinnati, those guys, when Columbus needs guys to go up, Cincinnati sends their players up. And Cincinnati's, I'll just be looking at it here real quick. Looking at the Cincinnati Cyclones schedule for 2020. And October 1st, and it's going to be every Saturday. Okay, they'll be they'll be playing a game at high noon. And then they won't start their season, I believe, until October 22nd, which is later on this month. They kick things off against the Comets, and then they go over to the Wings, and then they go over to the Nailers on Friday before facing the Heartlanders on the 29th. And that's the October schedule. So, I mean, our Cincinnati Cyclones hockey is playing here just in less than a month. And you got the NHL with the Columbus Blue Jackets beginning also here in just a few weeks also. So I don't know how I'm going to play that yet. Hopefully things come about and we can figure something out and how we want to address that. Okay, same thing with the NBA. Do we follow the Cleveland Cavaliers, or do we just follow general basketball information and news? I kind of follow like the Anaheim Ducks, the Los Angeles Kings. So it's just a new territory to follow a new team, especially in a sport that you're not familiarized. I like to follow the Clippers and the Lakers. Well, I mean, I also follow the Celtics. They're not in Cincinnati, or they're not even nearby. So I don't know. We'll figure that out over the next couple of weeks. But listen, WWE, Monday Night Raw is coming off tonight. And before we talk about Monday Night Raw, we kind of have to bring up a little bit of what happened on SmackDown last night, back on Friday, because, the Brawling Brutes got their title shot against the Usos, where Imperium surprises and tags the Brawling Brutes, costing them the SmackDown tag team titles. I like this feud. I really like the feud because I love how physical Imperium and the Brawling Brutes at least make it look like things. Obviously, Sheamus is going after the Intercontinental title. I mean, that's the last title before he becomes a crown champion, Grand Slam champion. I would love to see Sheamus in his career become a Grand Slam champion. I think he deserves it. Just the other day, I saw a picture of him holding all of the titles that he's won. And I think that's just pretty cool. Just the fact that you get the opportunity hey, I'm going to keep a title that I win. I think that's great. So, I mean, I like the feud that's going down there. I wasn't too impressed by Braun Strowman taking on Otis. Yeah, it was a physical match. I don't know. I'm just not necessarily a fan in that feud between Alpha Academy and Braun Strowman. Drew McIntyre, all right, and Karrion Kross is going to be another match set for Extreme Rules as Drew McIntyre challenged Kross to a strap match, right, where they wear a strap on each other's opponent's wrist, and they got to carry them around it's just a regular match, right? I think it's a no DQ match, and you can do whatever you want, but there'll be straps so they can only go as far, only so far with each other. And the winner is, and then you can use it as an advantage. We saw a little bit back on SmackDown. Obviously, Scarlett got involved, and Karrion Kross stood up with that, basically made McIntyre pass out in a chokehold. So that match is scheduled for Extreme Rules. But then we have the biggest thing that came out of SmackDown Friday night was Solo Sikoa. Roman Reigns addressing Solo Sikoa. So the bloodline's out, and they're all wearing the We the Ones. And basically, Roman Reigns tells the fact, if like I said, spoilers if you haven't watched SmackDown, but tells the fact that, hey, Solo, the elders may have sent you, but I am the one that you listen to now. And without hesitation, Solo Sikoa says, simply acknowledges Roman Reigns and figures out his place in line. There's a whole conspiracy that Solo's going to go on and win the Intercontinental title and then go on and win the United States title. And I strongly, I don't know. I mean, is Solo Sikoa's arrival to this bloodline a little too late to the party? I mean, is he a little too late to the party? I'm at the point where this bloodline is at the peak of their run, right? They have all the titles. They've been holding that since WrestleMania. And I'm ready just to start growing new talent. And these titles really help the new talent to grow. So, I mean, Solo Sikoa had to drop that NXT North American Championship. We don't know. I mean, obviously, everyone else has gold. I kind of wish that Solo Sikoa didn't so quickly accept Roman Reigns. I like that they don't have to face each other like back when Roman Reigns was first starting the bloodline. So I'm up in the air with this. I mean, he has a new member, but he has no title around him. Does he go back around and win the NXT championship? Is that a possibility? Braun Breaker's doing pretty well over there. Does he get another crack at the North American championship and bring that gold? Because, I mean, he did make one thing very clear, and a true fact is that he's made this NXT North American championship more relevant over the week that he had it than any other title in NXT. He brought it up to SmackDown, defended it on SmackDown, and really just the fact that they associated it with the bloodline makes it much more better. I think also the other key thing was to take away from that is that finally Roman Reigns approves of Sami Zayn, gives him his own shirt, which I've never seen someone so excited about a t-shirt before, but just the fact that he gets accepted with the bloodline. I mean, it's the funniest. He's that little guinea pig that the bloodline has in their back pocket that they get to use for the dirty work, and Sami Zayn is completely okay with it. Sami Zayn actually, applauds it, and he tries. He likes it, and I think when you could get the fans, when you get someone that wants to invest. And I think you got a guy who obviously is trying to play the system. He doesn't want to be against the bloodline. So if you can't be against them, join them. But I feel like this would set up a nice term when things start falling apart. What side is Sammy going to jump on? He kind of, does he jump on the right side? Does he jump on the left side? We'll dive more into that. I think that's something for later on in our program. All right, coming up tonight on Monday Night Raw, some Twitter stuff broke out over over the new shirt with Sami Zayn. AJ commented on it, and it looks like there will be an addressment, if not a match, between Sami and AJ Styles. Johnny Gargano and Kevin Owens will team up to face the Alpha Academy. So we maybe expect to see Braun Strowman on Raw, or even Theory costing Johnny or Kevin the match. I think in reality, Austin Theory should be involved in costing either Kevin, and it will be costing Kevin Owens and Johnny Gargano the match, in my opinion. And then if you want Braun Strowman to come out and do something with Alpha Academy, it would be after the match. Seth Rollins will take on Rey Mysterio. And one thing I'll tell you about this, I'm not necessarily big on how quickly they're dropping this whole U.S. title match that Seth Rollins had with Bobby Lashley. You think about how Matt Riddle got involved, and Matt Riddle will be facing Damian Priest. But if you want to find someone to kind of rub it back in Ray's face, to kind of really really get into it and trying to agitate the fans in the crowd with how Seth Rollins is that perfect mix in between all. So see Seth and Ray talking about taking those moments and watching Sting earlier. Rey Mysterio is another person that I highly suggest each time he's out there in the ring, stop what you're doing, take a step back, sit on that couch, press play, and just watch. All right, nothing else. Put headphones on if you got. Just watch how Ray has it, because matches are so limited with them. It's going to be just so much more. Io Sky taking on Bianca Belair as they get ready for Bianca and Bayley at Extreme Rules. Matt Riddle will take on Damian Priest, as I mentioned earlier. How will Seth Rollins get involved, or will the Judgment Day get involved? Or there's so much stuff to come. I'm excited to see the Judgment Day once again trying to make their impact on Raw. They've been doing really well, taking care of business and kind of being the center focus on Monday Night Raw. So we'll look into that, see if that plays out. A lot more to come. We'll be back again tomorrow from 9 to 11. I mean, listen, hey, it's a Monday. We're getting going. I'm excited for this week. Baseball, Reds and Pirates, 6:35. Monday Night Raw tonight, and Monday Night Football, Giants and Cowboys. So that's it for coming up from here. I'm Justin. You guys are listening to The Throw-In. Until tomorrow, you guys. I'll talk to you guys later. You guys, take care.